You know that feeling of a solo road trip? It's the ultimate freedom, right? Just you, the bike, the open road, pure adventure. But what happens when that road takes a turn into somewhere dark, somewhere totally isolated, and you realize with a sinking feeling that you're not actually alone? This is one of those stories about a journey that ends with a lesson you'd never, ever want to learn. I mean, we've all thought about it, right? Maybe a flat tire, you run out of gas, get a little lost. But what if the answer is something so far beyond that? Something you couldn't even begin to imagine. All right, so let's get into it. Our story is about this guy, Pranav, a solo rider, loved the thrill of it, but one night his favorite hobby led him straight into a place with a pretty dark reputation, the infamous Amboli Ghat. Now, Pranav was no rookie. He'd done these kinds of long solo rides plenty of times, and this trip to Goa, it was amazing, one for the books, really. He had absolutely no clue that it was about to become memorable for a completely different, much, much darker reason. A total nightmare was literally waiting for him just around the bend. So picture this. He's completely, utterly alone. The jungle is thick on both sides of the road. A massive rainstorm just passed, and it left behind this fog so dense it feels like he's riding through a cloud. His visibility is practically zero. His whole world is just this tiny beam from his headlight cutting through the dark, and this heavy, oppressive silence. And it's right here, in this suffocating quiet and this thick, blinding fog, that his entire world just flips upside down in a single, terrifying second. Bam! Out of absolutely nowhere, a shape just appears in the fog. A little girl, standing right in the middle of the road. He slams on his brakes. The bike skids, fishtailing on the wet asphalt. His heart is just hammering in his chest. He misses hitting her by what feels like millimeters. Okay, so once the initial shock wears off, his brain kicks in, and he's just confused and worried. I mean, a little kid out here all alone in the middle of the night on a dangerous road? It makes zero sense. He parks the bike, gets off to check on her. She's just standing there, her back to him, crying, facing this pitch-black ravine off the side of the road. He does what anyone would do, right? He reaches out to comfort her, just a gentle hand on her shoulder. But the second his skin touches her, it's like plunging his hand into a bucket of ice. A cold so deep, so wrong, that he instinctively pulls his hand back. And that's the moment the fear really starts to crawl up his spine. His mind is racing, trying to put the pieces together. Okay, it's a lost child. She's crying. She's wearing this kind of old-fashioned dress. He needs to help. But then, she turns around, and his reality just shatters. There's no face. Where her face should be, there's just a swirling, smoky void, and a mouth, a black hole that just opens wider and wider. He stumbles backwards, his brain just short-circuiting at the sight, and that's when he notices more movement, coming from the blackness of the ravine she was facing. Not just one, but maybe a dozen, maybe 15 shadowy things, and they aren't walking, they are crawling up the cliff face, their limbs bending in ways they shouldn't, writhing and scrambling, and they're all coming right for him. That's it. Pure animal panic takes over. He scrambles, trips, gets back to his bike. His hands are shaking so bad he can barely find the starter. He kicks. Nothing. Again. The engine is cold. They're getting closer. He can feel them now. He doesn't dare turn around. He kicks one more time and it roars to life. He guns it, peeling out into the fog, not even thinking about looking back. He's flying down the road, wind screaming past him, thinking, I'm safe, I got away. But then, he feels it. This sudden, impossible shift in weight on the bike. The suspension dips behind him. He is not alone on the bike. He has to know. He forces his eyes to look at his tiny rearview mirror, and his blood just turns to ice. It's her. The girl with no face is sitting right there, behind him, along for the ride. The absolute shock of it, the sheer terror. He loses all control. The bike careens off the road and everything goes black. It's a miracle he even survived the crash. He manages to get the bike up and somehow rides the rest of the way home, just running on pure adrenaline and shock. But he was about to learn a terrible truth. Just because he left the Ghat didn't mean the horror stayed behind. He gets home, sneaks into the house, trying not to wake anyone. He just collapses into his bed, desperate to convince himself it was all a bad dream, a hallucination brought on by the fog and exhaustion. He just wanted to sleep it off. But his nightmare was just getting started. He wakes up in the dead of night. At 2:30, he hears it, a soft, dragging sound circling his bed. Then at 3:30, he feels it. The mattress sinks down by his feet. A weight. Slowly, so slowly climbing onto the bed, moving up towards his head. He's paralyzed, just squeezed his eyes shut, afraid to even breathe. And then, a blast of that same unnatural cold right next to his ear. And in that frozen, terrifying silence, it speaks. And it makes it very clear what it wants. A chilling, whispery voice right in his ear says, "My anklet is still with you. Return it." And that's when it hits him like a ton of bricks. The memory just floods back. Right at the beginning, when he almost hit her and she ran to the side of the road, a little silver anklet fell from her foot. In his initial concern, before the horror started, he had picked it up, and in the chaos that followed, he must have shoved it in his pocket and forgotten all about it. He brought a piece of her home. He understood everything now. He was holding on to a cursed object. That little anklet was the anchor, tying that terrifying spirit directly to him, no matter where he went. The haunting would never, ever stop until he gave it back. Pranav knew exactly what he had to do. There was only one way to make this end. He had to go back. As soon as the sun was up, he was back on his bike, that cursed thing heavy in his pocket. He rode all the way back to that same horrifying spot by the ravine. He got off, and with his bare hands, he dug a small hole in the dirt, placed the anklet inside, and just started whispering apologies, begging it to stop, begging for forgiveness. The moment he got back on his bike and started to ride away, he felt it. An immediate lightness, like a huge weight had been physically lifted off his shoulders. The presence was gone. But you don't go through something like that and just forget it. The relief was real, but the scar, that would be with him forever. So it leaves you with a really unsettling question, doesn't it? If you're out there on some dark, empty road and you see someone who looks like they need help, what do you do? Are you the Good Samaritan who stops? Or do you just keep driving, wondering if you just avoided becoming the next victim?